Some moments don't just define a series, they shatter the very fandom. Imagine a single moment so powerful, so perfectly executed that it shatters the quiet hum of the internet into a million screaming fragments. For over 2 decades, Bleach has been a master of crafting these seismic events, scenes that transcend the screen and become shared cultural landmarks. These are not just plot points, they are emotional detonations, visual spectacles, and narrative twists so profound they force the entire fandom to collectively lose its mind. This is a journey through those iconic ruptures, the 20 moments where Bleach didn't just trend, it broke the internet. Our countdown begins not with a beginning, but with a glorious return. After the bitter betrayal of the Fullbring arc, where Ichigo Kurisaki's hard-won new powers were cruelly snatched away, fans were left with a hollow ache. The hero was mortal again, and the series seemed to be winding down. Then a knock at the window. The re-entry of Rukia Kuchiki, wielding not her own Zanpakuto, but a blade forged from the collective Ryatsu of the Soul Society's greatest captains, was a narrative lifeline thrown to a drowning audience. The act of her plunging that sword into Ichigo's chest was more than a power-up, it was a transfusion of legacy and hope. The ensuing battle against Kyugo Jinjo wasn't just well-animated, it was catharsis incarnate, a thunderous, beautiful finale that ensured the original series' sunset was painted in the brilliant hues of regained glory. Speaking of rescues, few moments are as sheer, unadulterated fan service executed to perfection as the arrival of the captains in Hyuko Mundo. Trapped in the sands of the Hollow's domain, Ichigo and his friends were cornered by the terrifying Espada, their situation utterly hopeless. The Soul Society had refused to aid them, a cold political decision that amplified the isolation. Then the sky cracked. The sudden, majestic appearance of Byakuya, Kenpachi, Mayuri, and Hitsugaya wasn't just a save, it was a statement. It was the moment the series declared its scale had permanently expanded, that the fate of one human girl had irrevocably tied the Godai 13 to the human world. The collective sigh of relief from viewers was almost audible. But to understand true, awe-inspiring power, one must look to the heavens, to the royal palace. For manga readers, the battle with the Schutzstaffel was a frustrating series of off-screen defeats. The anime's expansion, particularly Senjumaru Shutara's Bankai reveal, was a gift of cosmic proportions. The ritualistic requirement, her fellow Zero Division members sacrificing themselves to unlock her true power, immediately established a gravity beyond any captain's release. Her Bankai, Shatatsu Kurigara Shigarami no Tsuji, was less a technique and more a divine tapestry of execution. Watching her weave her enemies into cloth to be unmade, from evisceration to dissolution into dust, was a visual and narrative feast that finally answered years of desperate speculation with breathtaking, horrifying beauty. Similarly, a wait that felt like an eternity ended in a flash of absolute zero. Rukia Kuchiki, long perceived as the damsel or the sidekick, stepped into the heart of the Quincy invasion and silenced every doubter. Her Bankai Haka no Tagame was a revelation of elegance and lethal cold. The transformation into a frost-laced maiden, the expansion of her icy domain to reach the temperature where all molecular motion ceases, it was a perfect character culmination. This wasn't just a power-up for Rukia, it was a coronation, a moment that validated her journey from a guilt-ridden officer to a master of her own devastating, beautiful art. The Soul Society has always hidden its brutal past beneath robes of order, and no reveal was more savage than the truth of the Kenpachi title. The clash between Zaraki Kenpachi and Unohana Ritsu was marketed as a duel to make him stronger. What unfolded was a primal, bloody excavation of history. The gentle captain of the 4th Division shedding her kindness to reveal the first, most vicious Kenpachi, Yakairu Unohana, broke the fandom's brain. This wasn't a fight, it was a ritual slaughter, a cycle of death and rebirth where Zaraki had to kill the monster to embrace his own. The raw, unflinching brutality of their battle in the dank depths of the Mukin, culminating in Zaraki's tear-streaked victory, was a masterpiece of tragic violence. Yet even the mightiest can be outdone by sheer, reality-bending absurdity. The clash between Ikaib Hayasub, the monk who names all things, and Iwech, the Quincy emperor, showcased power on a mythological scale. Ikai's Bankai Shurafude Ikamanji, rewriting Iwatch's name and reducing his power to that of an ant, felt like a definitive, poetic end. Collective belief that Iwatch was finished was a tidal wave across forums and social media. Then came the cruelest twist, the Almighty. Iwatch's ability to see and alter all possible futures rendered even name-based erasure null. The dizzying whiplash from absolute victory to utter, hopeless defeat in moments was a narrative sucker punch that left the internet in a state of shocked paralysis. Bleach has a unique talent for making villainous comeuppance feel like poetic justice. When the arrogant Espada Sheilaparo Grants, a scientist who reveled in dissecting his foes, faced Mayuri Kuretsuchi, he met his true match. Mayuri didn't just defeat him, he outscienced him in the most horrifying way possible. The poison that altered Sheilaparo's perception of time, making the seconds of his death feel like millennia of agony, was a punishment so perfectly tailored it bordered on the artistic. Fans didn't just cheer for the villain's defeat, they reveled in the exquisite, cruel ingenuity of it. It was a moment that celebrated Bleach's willingness to be intellectually vicious. And sometimes, a moment breaks the internet simply through sheer, unexpected coolness. During the chaotic fallout of the Soul King's death as grotesque eyeball monsters rained down on the Serite, salvation came from the last person anyone expected, Sasuke Aizen, bound to a chair, his power suppressed. Without moving a muscle, using only the spiritual pressure leaking from his restrained form, he flattened an entire swarm. Then, with a mere incantation, he annihilated the rest. This was Aizen reminding everyone, both in universe and out, that his presence alone redefines a battlefield. The image of the imprisoned ex-villain effortlessly saving the society he tried to destroy was a paradox so brilliantly staged it broke the fandom's capacity for surprise. For all the battles, Bleach's heart often beats strongest in its quietest moments. The original series farewell between Ichigo and Rukia after the final Getsuga Tensho stripped him of his powers is a masterclass in bittersweet emotion. As Rukia fades from Ichigo's sight, her final words a teasing echo of their first meeting, the profound loss was palpable. This wasn't a tragic death but something almost harder, a peaceful, inevitable parting. Fans who had grown up with their unconventional partnership felt that goodbye in their bones. It was a moment that resonated so deeply because it felt real, a poignant end to a defining chapter. Of course, Bleach was built on rivalries, and Ichigo's final clash with Grimmjow Jaeger Jaquez in Hyuko Mundo is a titan among them. Theirs was a relationship forged in mutual respect and a thirst for a better fight. This battle, with its breakneck speed, brutal choreography, and raw emotional stakes, Ichigo fighting to reach Oriheim, Grimmjow fighting to prove his supremacy, was the pinnacle of the Arrancar arc's combat. Every blow felt earned, every flash step a narrative beat. It was pure, unadulterated shonen excellence, a fight that fans dissected frame by frame for years. That shonen spirit finds its purest expression in Kenpachi Zaraki. His battle against the Sternritter Gremmy Thumo was less a fight and more a demolition of logic itself. Gremmy's power, the visionary to make his imaginations real, was perhaps the most broken ability in the series. He imagined meteors, the vacuum of space, and the power to surpass Kenpachi. Kenpachi's response: he cut the meteor, survived space, and simply refused to be surpassed. This was the series arguing in the most entertaining way possible that sheer, unyielding force of will can overwhelm even the logic of reality. Every defiant roar from Kenpachi was a cheer moment for the ages. Betrayals are a staple, but few have the lingering, tragic sting of Jin Ikamaru's. For hundreds of chapters, he played the role of the smiling snake, Aizen's loyal lieutenant. His betrayal of the Soul Society seemed complete. That's why his final, desperate gambit against Aizen, the reveal of his true, centuries-long plot to avenge Rangaku, landed with such devastating force. The moment his Kamishini no Yari extended and seemingly shattered the Hagioku was a fleeting victory that made his subsequent, brutal death at Aizen's hand one of the most tragic moments in the series. It was a twist that reframed an entire character, leaving fans in a state of mournful shock. Rescues define heroes, and Ichigo's last-second save of Rukia from the Sakaioku stands as one of the most iconic in anime history. The tension was masterfully wound, the execution stand descending, the giant fiery phoenix forming, Rukia at peace with her fate.